Section 3 now, we are moving on to look at workflows, or you might call this a production process. Now, what exactly is the production process for an AI video? You're probably asking yourself, how do I go from idea to then a complete video? Do I just use text and then get some videos and put them together in a long timeline? Do I do this all in one? Do I get images and make those into videos? What do I do? How do I go from start to finish? And the answer is there's no right or wrong answer, and it'll depend on project. But what I'm going to do is show you what we suggest in this course for the best professional workflow, and I'll also show you some faster workflows and some longer ones, the ones we're going to use inside this course, which will dictate step by step each section of this course, what we look at and what we learn. So we're actually going to make some of these workflows in this section. I'll just show you quickly how to do each step. So the objective for this section and this lecture is to understand exactly what is a workflow, why you need one, do you need one, what they consist of. So the outcome, you're going to know what it is that you want to use for your projects, or if you do multiple different types of projects in the future, the potential workflows for those projects. So if I bring up the slide here, just to make it clear, we're probably semi-familiar with the traditional kind of TV and film process of production. That is, there would normally be kind of a pre-production planning phase. That might be where you come up with your idea, the concept, get the script. Depending on the show, you do budgeting, storyboard, casting, location scouting, art direction, scheduling, pre-visualization, etc. From there, you'd move on to production. That's the filming phase. In some film and TV, they do a principal photography. That's photographing and filming the area and set to see what's needed, and directing, camera lighting setup, sound recording, makeup, costume, and continuity to make sure there's consistency throughout the project. Then you move into post-production, which is after you've filmed it, the editing phase, editing, visual effects, sound effects, music composition, scoring, color grading, sound mixing, etc. Now, this is slightly different, obviously, when you're creating AI video, because you can create an AI video completely by yourself. Now, the production process I suggest we use in this course, but I'll show you in the following lectures about how that can change depending on your project, is something like this. We do idea generation. We get an idea. Perhaps you already have one, but I'll show you the tools that we use to generate ideas. From there, we'll make a script. It may be we use AI to make a fuller script or a scene script or just a video structure, if depending what exactly the project is you're making. From there, we'll then make the audio, which is slightly different to TV, as you can see. We make the audio first, which is a lot like when companies like Pixar make animation. We start with the voiceover and the score, that's the music, because the editing and the images that we need will be dictated by the audio. So we make the audio first. I'll show you what tools we use to do that. Now, these next two phases you don't need, but I'm going to do it in this course. It's best practice if you're making a very professional video, is we make a mood board. So using images with AI, we get kind of the feel of what our project's going to look like. This might be something like principal photography, or something more like storyboarding in the first section that would be in the TV and the film industry. From there, from the mood board, once we know what our general feel of our project's going to look like, colors, etc., then we're going to look at storyboarding. So we'll take the styles we've talked about before, then we take the storyboarding, we'll generate images that are pretty much, say we take 10, 12 images for our scene, and they're actually probably going to become some of the images we use in our final video. But they may be kind of 10 images that break down the different parts of our video that we use as a framework for our next step. Now, as we've discussed earlier in the video, there are different ways for us to get video created. We could do text to video, but the best way we feel is to do images to video. You have the best control if you generate images first, manipulate those images, get them looking amazing, and then create videos from those. So we'll make all the images that we need for our project, for our video. Then this is kind of up to you. You can up-res those images, you can make those great quality first, then create the video based on those images. Or you might want to create the video and then up-res and make the video better quality. So we'll take the images we had, we'll convert those into videos. We'll use prompts like we've shown to make sure we create the best video that we need. And then in Edit, we'll put these all together into a timeline to put together our full video. And then we'll add effects, which probably are more like a color grade, perhaps, depending on if you need it or not and the project, but little sound effects that you're going to want to put in after, because they'll be dictated by the actual video themselves, whether a sound effect is needed. So generally speaking, that is a really professional workflow for an AI video, and that's pretty much the workflow we're going to use in this course step by step. In fact, you have access to our site. I'm going to jump into screen and show you that, and I'll show you how I break that down so you can go away after this lecture and look at that to really understand the tools we're going to be using and the structure to making a really professional AI video. Let's jump into screen. So you have access to this aivideo.school, AI-video-workflow, and we'll keep adding to this, so it might look slightly different by the time you get to this, but it's explaining what a workflow is, show you the most effective workflows, exactly what they are, and then this section right here is full of information because people don't know what's needed for each step. So we break these down, step 1 all the way to step 10. And just like I showed on the slide just now, we go from idea generation. In this course, we're going to concentrate on ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Copilot, and Claude. We're going to each of these. That's the next section of the course. Then we make a script or a structure. And again, we use Squibbler, ChatGPT, ChatSonic, Gemini, Text Cortez, and perhaps some more. This will be continually updated. From there, like we showed in the slide, we go to AI audio. We make our score and perhaps our voiceover. Suno, Filmora, Udio, and 11 Labs. 11 Labs is probably the main tool we're going to be using here. We'll show you all of those. We're going to then make our mood board, our design, if you like, conceptualize the style like we spoke about in the last section of the course. We use Midjourney for that, perhaps Gemini, because Gemini is a great tool to give text and image results. Then I'm going to make a storyboard, which are going to base some of the first images we might be turning into video later, but it's a good way to conceptualize the whole story. Again, Midjourney, there's storyboarder.ai, which is a really good tool, and Photoshop for this. We can use some gen fill in Photoshop to make our images how we want them to look exactly, but also to place these into a way and a format for us to visualize our video better. From there, we get into the next two big sections here. We're going to do some AI image generation now. And there's loads of tools we can use for this, and I could add to it. Here are 9 tools we're going to go over. There's Midjourney, Runway Image, DALL-E, Photoshop, Grok, that's with X, used to be Twitter, Stable Diffusion, Adobe Firefly, Gemini, and Meta AI. We'll take a look at all of these. My favorite pretty much is Midjourney, perhaps Runway Image sometimes, but Midjourney, you may find after using these, some are free, some are paid, that there are some that are better suited to you and your needs, and you'll get your own favorite. From there, we'll convert these images into video generation. And again, 9 whopping tools right here, some way more suitable for purpose than others. And you can decide after I show you all of these, which one you like the most. Right now, it's Runway, but soon be Sora. Let's take a look. I'm going to show you Runway, Pika, Morph Studios, Luma Dream Machine, Hapia, Kaiber, InVideo, Akul, and Sora. Then from there we may then improve our image resolution, either on the still images if you want to do it at this phase, or after the video, or both. And for that I'm going to show you Topaz, Filmora, and Morph Studios again for up-resing. Then we're going to edit. I predominantly use Premiere Pro, but you don't have to. You could use CapCut, which is free, or Filmora, and you could use any of these tools, but we'll show you some AI editing features that are in there and just putting it down onto a timeline to really see our final project. Then we're going to get our sound effects. We're going to use 11 Labs again predominantly, although I can show you actually how to just use sound effects grabbed from YouTube and downloaded that are free, or you could use some paid tools if you wanted to get yourself some stock sound effects, but I'll show you predominantly 11 Labs. So if you go on over onto this page, you can start going through these. You can even check out some of these tools if you want to. I don't expect you to know all of these. We'll conquer these all in the next stages of the course. So the next section is all about idea generation. We'll go through these one at a time. Then we'll generate scripts and we'll go through these one at a time. Audio, mood board, storyboard, images, etc. We'll go through all of these tools, but to familiarize yourself, you can go through and check this out. So there's an overview of a production process getting AI video completed, going all the way from start to finish. You don't have to do it this way. And as we go through these tools, you're going to see which ones you want to use and which ones you don't. But it's best I show you them all and show you too much and you take away the bits you want. And it will also depend on the project that you're doing. An advert, for example, social media post is going to be very different than if you're making a short film for festival or something more elaborate. And I'll get into that and I'll explain the differences in the next lecture. So there are different needs for different types of workflow depending on the project that you are doing, obviously. And I just want to use this lecture, it won't be very long, just to go over some differences in the workflows that will depend and be dictated by the project that you are making. We backwards engineer this from projects we are making through to workflow needed. I'm going to give you some examples here we can go through on this slide, and then that's it. We can get into making and showing you these workflows and the tools that I'm using briefly in this section before we go into the next sections where we get in depth in each step. So quickly, the objective for this lecture is to understand what's needed for different styles of videos you're creating. Maybe you're creating a social media video, maybe you're creating a short film. They'll be different depending on what it is you're creating. By the outcome of this, you'll know the kind of projects you're going to make and what you want to do. So perhaps the potential workflow that you'll need for that. Let's jump into the slide and I can explain more. So workflows really are based on projects, and there's a big difference between them. I can go through some of these. Let's start with social media video. Now, this content is of course being consumed predominantly on a mobile phone. Now, a lower quality is accepted. Someone is watching this perhaps on a 7-inch screen in their hand. You don't need to have this at 4, 6, 8K quality that needs to be blown up and displayed in a cinema level. So perhaps you can get away with a lower quality, which will in turn have a quicker workflow and allow you to produce more content. There'll be less concentration in the workflow on the up-resing part of this, of course. Perhaps also on the consistency. Deep edit, you don't need to go in and really go to work on this like you would if you were presenting a short film at festival, for example. That's the difference between a social media video. You may want to have a slightly quicker workflow, and then the next lecture we'll talk about a very quick workflow, and that might be the one that you're using. Not to mention small things like the format. You may be doing this 9:16, having it a vertical format as opposed to a landscape. Now, next I want to talk about an advert. If you were creating an ad for yourself, your own product, or for a company, perhaps you've managed to get a commission from a company to produce a high quality advert for them. These could be a 15-second advert for YouTube, for social media, it could be for TV. You're probably going to want a slightly higher quality because you're making this for client, and also it's for sales. Now, if you are using an advert that's for sales, you don't ever want the quality to be so low that someone says that's not good, I'm not going to spend money on that product. So you'll want higher quality. You may concentrate on the consistency, on the image, the up-resing, etc. Not to mention ethics in an advert. You don't want to lie, you don't want to not show the actual product or what the person is getting. You may also have less control. In the workflow I showed you, there's a mood board section and storyboarding. You may be dictated by the ad, by the company, saying the brand colors are red, yellow, blue, and it needs to be looking in this certain way. I'm primarily trying to target young Gen Z female, therefore there's going to be a feel in a certain way, as opposed to if I'm targeting an older male demographic. There's going to be a very different color, very different grade, very different feel to the video, and the branding, mood, etc. is going to be dictated by the ad. So when you come to mood boarding or getting together your type of shots, you may have less control and you need to really concentrate on what the company is telling you. Now, this could shorten the length of your production process. You're being told how it's meant to look. There is less need for you to develop this yourself. It could actually make it quite a bit quicker, but you probably want to concentrate more on the quality here. Now, next I want to talk about a short film or professional style video. If you are making a video project that's going, you could distribute this yourself on YouTube, or perhaps you're going on to film festival. Now, quality here is very important. If it's going to film festival, it's probably going to be displayed on a big screen. So you're going to want it at least 4K quality minimum, I'd expect, perhaps even more. So you're probably going to want to spend time up-resing your quality, your content, to make sure it is really good. Make sure there's consistency. Make sure if you have one character in one scene, it looks like the same character in the next scene, or the feel of the video is the same throughout. Therefore, the mood board and style perhaps would be very much needed to be concentrated on. There may also be actually a more in-depth post-production process. That's when you edit this perfectly. You get that grade, that color grade, and that score, that sound design. It's probably, out of all of them, it's probably going to be your most in-depth production process, and you're probably going to follow closely along with the one that we mentioned inside the last lecture. If I go back onto screen, you can see once again on that site I showed you on the page, the AI video workflow, and we have 10 steps, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. You're probably going to want to follow something like this, the most in-depth workflow. You can't go much more in-depth. You could, I guess, spend more time on each step, but this is probably the workflow you're going to want to go with if you're making a high quality video production. Now, it's also personal preference. You may want to avoid some steps or some tools you don't like, aren't familiar with, don't want to, don't need to, don't want to pay for, perhaps. There's no one rule for all. You're going to understand and learn all of these tools as you go along, and you're going to see me use them. In fact, in the next lecture, I'm going to do a very quick workflow, and you're going to see me use several of these tools. It may be that you think to yourself, I don't want to learn that tool. That's not really needed. I'd prefer to use this tool, this free tool, this better tool, and you're going to start developing your own personal preference to your workflow. So with that in mind, let's move on. Let me show you the quickest, shortest workflow you could probably do for AI video, and watch me actually produce this. Just quickly, I'll whiz through it, produce this tool by tool using different AI platforms. So exciting, let's get through these 5 steps as I showed on the slide here. Let's get ourselves an idea, okay? I'm in ChatGPT. Let's grab ourselves an idea for a video. I'm going to show you, and we'll whiz through each one of these tools so you can see what it is you'd need. So if you were here, we've already talked about our prompts, and in the next stage we actually talk about scripts in depth. But for the sake of showing you a workflow, let me do this. Create a script for a 1-minute video about that's an introduction to a new superhero like Marvel. The superhero is called Environmental Man. Only have a narrator's voice over, no dialogue. Okay, let's run that. Okay, the rise of Environmental Man. Scene 1, dark clouds swirl over polluted city skyline, factories spew smoke, dark murky narrator. In a world where political chokes and skies, the earth cries out for a hero, a new force emerges. Scene 2, cut to a close-up of a young scientist surrounded by environmental research, holographic screens. He reaches out, grabbing a glowing vial of green energy. Suddenly a surge of light engulfs him. Once an ordinary scientist dedicated to reversing humanity's damage, he discovered a secret to harnessing the planet's raw energy. Quick cuts showcase his abilities. So we see him gifted with the power of control the elements. He's a defender of nurture, the guardian of our future. Scene 4, close-up of the Environmental Man's suits, sleek design. Okay, when the Earth needs a savior, he answers their call, a champion for the planet and its creatures. And then a couple more shots here. So I've got 6 shots. That could be just 6 images needed, could be a couple more. And I've got what the voiceover is happening here. Great. So we have our script. Let me just copy that right here, because the next step, like I mentioned, I'm going to copy that, is to create the audio for this. I want to have the audio first, and then I'm going to create my visuals and my video based on that. So let's head over to 11 Labs. You may use another tool for this. This is the one I'm going to be showing you predominantly in this course. It is probably the leader in voiceover and in sound effects, cloning voices, etc. Pretty much a leader in the market for this. There are other tools and I'll show you them later when we get to that stage in a few sections time, but just to go over this quickly, let's do text to speech. Let me just paste this all in here. So I need to remove everything that's not the narrator. Okay, this. Okay, so here is all the narrator's parts I've got in here. That's great. That's all that's in here. Let me find myself a voice. I'm going to find more voices. Let's find, I want them to speak English. Accent, let's do American. More filters, I want them to be a male voice. Age, let's do middle-aged. And let's start listening. Middle-aged American voice, good clear narration.
The greatest way to live with honor in this world.
Okay, so Carter the Mountain King, listen to this. I'm going to show you this voice.
I failed over and over and over again in my life.
That's the voice I want for this. Okay, let's add that into here. Let's go back on text to speech. I'm going to choose that. Carter the Mountain King, let's generate our speech.
In a world where pollution chokes the skies and the earth cries out for a hero, a new force emerges. Once an ordinary scientist dedicated to reversing humanity's damage.
Exactly what I want. That's exactly what I need for this. Okay, let me download that. I now have my narrator's voice. That's downloaded. Perfect. Now I want to create some images for this. If I go back to my script, I can see the first thing I want here is an establishing shot. So dark clouds swirl over polluted city. Okay, great. I can actually probably copy that word for word. I can put this into here. I've already got my settings set that I want it to be landscape 16.9. I will show you everything you need in this tool in a few sections time when we talk about images. But for now, just follow along. I'm showing you the workflow. Let's just populate that. Let's see what it comes out with. Okay, nice. Let's take a look at these. That one, that one, that one. That one, that's kind of dramatic, isn't it? Okay, let me use that one. Although it's black and white, let me just see if I can get that into a more color grade. Let's take a look at these. Okay, I like this one. Let me download that one right there. That's that shot. Let's go back to here. In a world where pollution chokes, then a close-up of a young scientist surrounded. There's green, suddenly a surge of light engulfs him. Okay, but we can put in some of it. Let's get ourselves a close-up, cinematic close-up of a young scientist surrounded by environmental research holographic screens. Yep, let's put that in there. Let's see what that comes out with. Okay, let's take a look at what they got here. Vile, this is nice. Okay, I like this shot the most. Let's download that one. Go back to here. A lot of light's going to engulf him. We do that in the edit. His abilities, water manipulating, cleansing, polluting rivers, plants. All right, so you can imagine what these shots are. Let me just do this one for the sake of this, showing you how to do it. So close up of environmental man suit, a sleek design inspired by nature, an emblem of a green root engulfing blue lines. He stands at the top of a skyscraper over cape. Okay, let's do that. Okay, nice. These are good. I like this one the most. Let me download and use that one. All right, so environmental man soars above the sky. I've done something here. I've made sure it has consistency between that last character that we got here. So let me take a look at some of these. I may want to change and slightly alter the badge that's on him, but something we can do later. Let me do this. Okay, let's download this one. All right, I've got those for images. That's fine. Let me go in and start. We're going to do the next stage, which is to create video out of these, and then we put it all together. So let's go into Runway. Once again, in future sections, we'll go deep into how to use this exactly. This is just to show you for the sake of this tutorial for workflows. So our first shot was this establishing shot. So I'm going to say camera drone shot towards city slow motion. 10 seconds, let's generate that. While I wait for that, that's in the queue, I could then start doing the other videos that we have just, some of the other images to generate to video. Let me do this. This scientist holding this vial. I'm actually gonna make that the last shot here. 10 seconds. I'm not going to give it any instruction and see what AI comes up with. Let's generate that. While we're waiting, I can get my next shot into here. All right, let's have this. I'm going to do camera moves up to character's face, epic slow motion. Generate that. And then our last shot that we did, camera follows as superhero flies. Let's just give it that and generate. All right, we can start looking at some of these, see if we need to regenerate these, how good they are. Let's play this first one. All right, perfect. You can imagine the voiceover coming and it's saying this and then fading out. Perfect. Let's take a look at our next shot right here. Not good. I didn't give it any instruction, remember? Let's just stop that. Let's redo this shot. Slow motion, no movement. Sometimes I do this and it's still going to make some movement, but it's not. Man looks at vile. Let's see our next shot, see if we need to regenerate this again. All right, for this example, that is good enough. So I'm going to download that first one, download this one. Let's take a look at our next shots. Okay, this out of all of them was probably one of the trickiest shots for AI. Let's see, the camera follows this man flying. So I'm actually going to have him probably put that shot into reverse. For the sake of this tutorial, I'd probably regenerate that again, and we'll do them later when we come to make our actual project. For this, I'm going to download and use that, and you'll see me reverse it. It's often something you might see with AI videos, that when you have, I don't know, maybe a car driving down the street in a drone shot, that it reverses it, so it's driving backwards. And in the edit, then we just reverse that so they drive forward. Let's wait for this final shot, and then we're getting to the last stage of the speed workflow. I haven't looked at this yet. Let's see what this generation did. Yeah, exactly what I need for this trailer. Just a little bit of movement. Fine, and then I'd have a bright light. Okay, let's download that and let's move on to the next step in the process. So next you want to edit these and compile these and put it together. If you want a free bit of software, then perhaps you want to use something like CapCut. You can go ahead and download this. Looks something like this, and you can just import your videos and put them on there. I'm a fan of Premiere Pro, and that's what I use, but any editing software, honestly, you don't need anything particularly special for this, just whatever you want to use to compile your shots together. So I'm going to use Premiere Pro. All I need to do is drag in all our downloads right here. These are our videos that we just created right there. And then I've also got, of course, the voiceover. So let me grab our voiceover that we made, drop that in here. Okie dokie. Let me put that onto here, zoom this in for you to see.
In a world where pollution chokes the sky.
Okay, great. Let me drop that shot in like that. Let me make it the right size. I haven't up-resed any of this. That's in the later section, so it wasn't quite the right size I wanted. Let me do that. I can add in a nice fade or something. Let's search for a dissolve. Yeah, that will do. I might make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so now it looks something like.
In a world where pollution chokes the skies and the earth cries out for a hero.
Great. And then I'm going to put another dissolve in here. Our next shot was of that young guy, the scientist. Let's find his shot. Let's drop him in here. Probably also want another little fade at the front.
A new force emerges. Once an ordinary scientist dedicated to reversing humanity's damage.
Great. Let's go on to some of our other shots here. Okay.
He discovered the secret to harnessing the planet's raw energy, gifted with the power to control the elements.
And let me find that last shot that we can go here. So I said with this one, what often happens is it does it in reverse. That's fine. I'm just going to reverse this shot, which you can do with any software. Let's go speed duration. I'm going to just reverse that shot right here. And now it looks something like that. You see it comes forward. That's fine. Let's go to here. So we haven't got the complete, obviously the complete timeline for the sake of the length of this tutorial. So let's play this and see what this looks like.
In a world where pollution chokes the skies and the earth cries out for a hero, a new force emerges. Once an ordinary scientist dedicated to reversing humanity's damage, he discovered the secret to harnessing the planet's raw energy. Gifted with the power to control the elements, he is the defender of nature, the guardian of our future. When the earth needs a savior.
Okay, perfect. So you can see how this is coming together, how we're making this. We could do another step here. I'm going to show you something else. So this step I didn't put into the speed, but I feel like this project we're just making needs it. Let me do a superhero Marvel soundtrack for a trailer epic. That's probably all I need to put for this. I want it to be instrumental. create. This is Suno that can create you soundtracks. You could have lyrics. We'll get into this when we do the audio in a couple of sections time. I'll show you this tool. It's really one of my favorite. Oh, they've named these Shadows of Titans. Let's play. That's nice. Yeah, exactly what I want. Okay, I'm going to download this right here. When it's ready, download the audio and add it onto my timeline. Back to our project. Let me just chuck in our soundtrack we had here. Project right here. Let's drop that on. Okay, let's play this now. Nice. Let's just play that through with the voiceover.
In a world where pollution chokes the skies and the earth cries out for a hero, a new force emerges. Once an ordinary scientist dedicated to reversing humanity's damage, he discovered the secret to harnessing the planet's raw energy. Gifted with the power to control the elements, he is the defender of nature, the guardian of our future. When the earth needs a safe...
Amazing. So you can see that just in about, I think I've been working on this for 20 minutes or so on this speed process right here. We've gone from, let me show you, we've gone from idea, we had no idea, then we did a voiceover for it and did a narration. We generated the images that we needed. We then made the videos out of those. We even got a soundtrack for it, and then we edited it all together to make ourselves a project. All I would do here, if I zoom out, I can see that I need narration finishes around here. That's like a 42-second trailer. I need maybe several more shots, another 5 or so that I would do in exactly the same way. Mid-journey, create the images, tweak these. I would play with it and I would probably add some sound effects and things. But look at that. In 20 minutes, we've done a speed workflow and we've generated this. Within an hour, you'll have yourself the trailer that you needed for this. That was the speed workflow. So the next lecture, the next stage, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with this, and we've got a few more steps to go along here. Let me show you in the very next lecture. Now, this workflow I'm going to show you in this lecture, compared to the last one, is what we want to call the best workflow. Now, that's because it pretty much goes through every stage of the workflow that you could probably want for an AI video. There are still some examples here where you could skip a step, or perhaps you want to use more tools for each step, just one tool per step. I'm going to show you kind of an in-depth workflow. We're going to jump into the screen in a moment and we're going to create an AI video from scratch, from idea generation all the way through to completion to a very high quality, using every stage in the workflow that I've mentioned. So the objective for this lesson is to see what a long, if you like, the longest version of the best workflow would be. So in the outcome, you're going to know what these tools are for each stage, just an overview at this point, and probably what you're going to need for your projects and what it is that you need, what steps and what steps you don't. So let's jump in here and I'm going to go through every single stage. Let's go through them all and let's create an AI video together, and you can watch and come along and follow me step by step. Let's go. So if I just bring up the slide here to remind us, this is what we're going to follow pretty much for the course. And it's each stage of the workflow here. So we're going to start with idea generation. For that could be, and this could be different or more tools. I'll show you more in the following sections. ChatGPT, Gemini, the same for scripting or getting a structure. And then for audio, you could use 11 Labs or Suno. And then for your mood boards and also your storyboards, that's Midjourney, Gemini, Photoshop. Also for your images, Midjourney. There are loads and I'll show you a few more on here. Perhaps you want to up-res, and I'm going to show you Topaz, but there's other platforms and tools like Morph Studios and things I'll show you later in the course. Then we're going to use a host of AI tools to make our video. That's Runway, which is primarily the tool that I like to use. There's Pika, Luma, Dream Machine, Hapier, and many more. And then there's up-resing also after that. And then we can edit these, put these together, Premiere Pro, CapCut, whatever you want to. And then some sound effects again with 11 Labs to finish this. So it's not an exhaustive list, and you can check on our site once again. If I show you, this was the workflow explained, and these are all tools that I'm I'm going to teach inside the course for each stage and what you could be using. Use all of these, some of these, none of these. It's completely up to you. I'm just going to show you everything. So let's start this process. Let's make an AI video from scratch. And the first thing I want to do is generate an idea. For that, I'm going to use ChatGPT and also Gemini. I like to use both of these tools simultaneously, and there are loads more you could be using here, any text-based. We're going to, in the next section, the very next section is idea generation. I'll show you all the tools we want to use for that, which of course are listed right here. Idea generation, we use ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Copilot, and Claude. But for today, I want to do this. So let's generate me some short film ideas, 2-minute films to create with AI video. That is so general. I've given it no instructions whatsoever. Okay, so let me just copy both of these and I'm just going to show you what these generate for results both here and in Gemini. So ChatGPT says, so the time capsule, a child in the 1980s, buries a time capsule in the backyard, 40 years later, discovered by an adult. Okay, digital ghost, a young programmer, rewind, a character finds a device, the forgotten note, AI dream, the last message, a character scene, the switch, in a near future society, a character discovers a hidden switch. Okay, nature's revenge. So this is giving me AI themes within this because I used AI in the prompt. The perfect loop in the blink of an eye. Let's see what Gemini does here. Here are some short forms ideas. Sci-fi, digital doppelganger. A person discovers their digital doppelganger. Okay, quantum leap, scientists accidentally. I like the idea of sci-fi for generating good images. The last humans on Earth interacts with advanced AI. Okay, fantasy, enchanted forest, Dreamweaver, wishing well, surveillance state, glitch. So I'm getting loads and loads. Oh, comedy ones here. I like the way that Gemini divides these down by kind of niche or genre. Gemini, you'll find, is really good at this, and even I could take one of these and run it again and it'll give me image examples and things. Gemini is very good at doing this and dividing it down into a really easy, manageable way to receive information. So I like the idea of this sci-fi. I like The Last Human, something like this, perhaps not interacts with advanced. So I'm going to do generate me a video idea, 2 minutes, for a sci-fi film about what did I say, The Last Human. I like the idea of just a single character about a young girl on a futuristic planet who at aged 14 realizes she is developing superpowers. Okay, let's run that. Let me just copy it. I'm going to put it also into ChatGPT to compare these side by side. So now I've given it somewhat of an idea. You could have gone with any of those ideas. You could have your own one and want to get ideas around this. So this one's giving me the title, The Awakening, a distant futuristic planet of vast technology, floating cities surrounded by vast alien. Plot summary, a young girl, Mirror, sitting alone on a rooftop futuristic home. She's 14 years old, gazing at a purple sky, holographic devices, floating vehicles in the distance. She feels out of place in here. On a planet, Ethereon, a citizen, roleplay, Mirror is always left like, okay. Then there's an inciting incident, discovers her superpowers. All right, let's see what Gemini come up with. So this gave me The Awakening logline. A young girl living on a futuristic colonized planet begins to manifest extraordinary abilities, forcing her to confront a hidden destiny and dangers that come within. I like this. Establish a futuristic alien setting. The Awakening, a sudden, inexplainable. Okay, so this is nice. I do like both of these. So let me use ChatGPT. Let's now. This is the idea that I want, okay, of generating ideas. Spend a lot of time generating the ideas you want. Go forward, come back, back and forward, back and forward, back and forward, so that you get something that you want. You saw that first prompt I gave was anything. I gave it a command to come up with ideas. You may have something that you like, something you want to make about, create about, most of you will, and then start working back and forward. ChatGPT is a great one to work ideas back and forward. So I could say, Generate me a script. Now we're moving on to generating a script. That's the second, if I bring up the slide, the second stage right here. I want to generate me a script for a 1-minute trailer for the film mentioned above. There is only a narrator, not dialogue from characters. I'm going to do that because I don't like using lip sync. Although I can show you in here how to do lip sync. Actually, maybe I'll do that. Generate me a script for 1-minute trailer for the film mentioned above. There is only narrator, not dialogue. Narrator, and just one line of short dialogue from the main character. Okay, let's see what this does. Now, because ChatGPT is this kind of back and forward model, I can say, hey, you know that one you just did there? I don't have to re-explain the whole thing again. Create me a script based on and then describe the movie. I can just say, hey, make me a script based on this. Amazing. So, title Awakening, 1-minute trailer script. A shot of a wide open futuristic planet at dusk. 2 moons hover over the sky, casting a ethereal glow over the sprawling cityscape, floating vehicles and towering structures. Narrator. On a distant planet of Ethereum where everyone's secret is buried deep, one is about to surface. Quick cuts of young girl Mira looking at her hands as objects around her float around the room and wobble. Her eyes faintly glow mysterious energy. Great. She always felt different until one moment changed everything. Cut to an aerial view of Mira standing on a rooftop, swirling around her, lights flicker and city glows. Fast-paced scenes on screen, unintentionally shattering. Narrator, a power she never asked for. But her father standing here, secrets get to in. Okay, flashbacks. And then the only line she says here, so it's the only one I need lip sync for. What am I? Camera zooms in. Okay, let's create some of this. That's great. That's exactly what I want. So this is my script I have right here. I'm going to copy and paste that just like we was doing in the fast workflow we did in the last lecture. I'm going to do exactly the same thing here. The next stage, you could obviously work that back and forward, and I would spend time, hours, a day, whatever you want, working your script perfect. For the sake of this tutorial and showing you this, I'm going to move on and go to the next stage right now. I want to go to 11 labs. If I show you the slide, we're going to start working on our audio for this. What I want is the narrator. Now, I don't need sound effects for this. You can imagine lots of sound effects and music, etc. We do that at the end of the video. Let me just go here and come back onto 11 labs. So this is what we had for the last lecture. I'm going to erase that here. I'm going to paste in my script, and then I'm just going to take out everything that isn't the narrator's speech. Okay, here we are. This is all the speech that I want the narrator. Now, we used a really great voice last time for trailers. And if I just generate that, I can show you what that sounds like.
On the distant planet of Arathon, where every secret is buried deep, one is about to surface. She always felt different until one moment changed everything. A power she never asked for.
So that's a really nice voice. Let me see if I can find, let me find some more of this. I'd quite like to find a female voice for this, because the story is about a female. Perhaps I can find something, if I find an old woman, perhaps there's like a really nice sounding voice.
We can do no great things, only...
Whether you think you can or you think you can't,
to bring anything into your life,
the sun rises in the east and sets in the west.
No garden is without its weeds.
Oh, I think I found the voice I want to go with actually here. Listen to Jessie's voice right here. Let me show you, Jessica.
Well, well, look what we have here.
Oh, kind of ominous. Okay, let's generate the speech with that.
On the distant planet of Arathon, where every secret is buried deep, one is about to surface. She always felt different.
Nice. That's exactly the kind of voice I want. Let's download that and keep that for later. Now we have that. That was that stage. Let's go on and start generating ourselves kind of a mood board for this. I want to have a certain kind of look. I'm going to go back quickly to here to ChatGPT. I'm going to go to this opening shot, and it's a good way to kind of get myself a good feel for this. I'm going to go to Midjourney. Again, show you this later. I'm just going to put this in here without giving it any style instructions. Then I'm going to go back on here and let's go sci-fi, dark, film noir, cyberpunk We spoke about these earlier, and I am going to just a wide shot of a futuristic planet at dusk. Moons hover over the sky. Let's play with that. Okay, let's see what they generated us here. These are quite nice, this one, and not that one so much. That one. Okay, let's see what happens when I gave it some style guides. Oh, nice. Look at this. Okay, that one, that. Oh, I do like this one too. Okay, I'm going to use this. I like this hue here. Let's download that. Let's keep that. And then another thing I always try to get is young girl, objects around her. Okay, I'm just going to copy this and I'm not going to actually use that just to remind myself. So young girl, mirror, she is 14 years old. She is sat on the roof of a futuristic skyscraper. Let's correct these on. All right, let's give it this without any instructions on what she's wearing or clothing. Let's see what they generate. I haven't described the girl at all. I just said 14 years old. I kind of want to see what it comes up with. Then let's do this again, and let's do it with a pink hair and an innocent look, futuristic jacket and clothing. Generate both of these. Let's see what Midjourney comes out with. Now, the reason I do these two is because I want one, my setting and the feel for my setting, and second, my character. They are at least the two things that you need, okay? Because that's the bare minimum that you could ask for to start getting. One, I want to know what my character looks like, develop that properly for my mood board, and kind of the color and feel for this movie. So you need two images here. Okay, let's have a look at these. So I like things like the composition for this and a girl more like this. Okay, let's generate it again. I'm going to say cyberpunk, and I'm going to also take away that eye glowing part because it's concentrating on that, and I can add that later. Let's do it again. Let's do cinematic shot of a. You'll find when you're generating these images, this is what takes the most time, going back and forward to get them perfect. And I'm only generating one at a time. Usually I would generate, and I'll show you in future sessions, generate multiple at the same time. Okay, let's take a look at this. I like this one, I think, the most. Let's take a look at some more. Okay, I'm going to run with this for this example. Now I'm going to just, while I'm here, hit strong, which means to regenerate it again, but not change it completely, and subtle. Again, I'll show you this in future sections. Let's get our images again. Okay, here is the strong remix of this. This one, this one, this one, this one. This is the subtle. Okay, I quite like this one, you know, but you can't see the world that she's in, but we do have the establishing shot. I like these colors, I like what she's wearing, and this girl. Okay, let's download this. These are my two shots. Now you can use whatever it is that you want to place these. So I like to use Photoshop. You could use something like Canva. You could print these out. You could keep them on your desktop. You don't need to make an actual mood board if you don't want to, but I like to do this. Let's grab on my images right here, put these on there. Okay, and then I also like to, okay, so here's a very rough version. You'd obviously have more like 8 to 10 shots or something on your mood board, but here's kind of what I'm going with for this film. I've got this kind of pink hue to everything. You know, in the style section, we talked about cyberpunk and the 80s kind of feel almost on it, but that futuristic cyberpunk, that Mad Max kind of feel, this works with exactly the kind of style. So as long as when I'm creating everything, it fits this mood board, then I know I'm on the right track. So we did the mood board. Now I want to do my storyboard, okay? Again, you may not have to do this, but I like to do it to make sure I've got what I need. So let's go back to the script that we came with, awakening, opening shot. So I've already got that for my mood board, okay? The next one, quick cuts of a young girl looking at her hands and objects around her. So what I want is, I've got that shot of mirror already, and then I'm going to have another shot of her close with her hands up or something, okay? As if she's got these lights coming and her eyes glow. So let me go back into Midjourney. I want that same girl. I'll show you how to use this all properly later. So I'm going to say this young girl, face on shot. She is looking at her hands. There is a light glowing from her hands and her eyes glowing. Let's take a little look at these images right here. We know from limitations that hands are often very difficult for AI. Pretty good, that's good. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's a nice one too, isn't it? This one more coincided with the shot on the last image that we produced. I quite like this one, maybe this. Okay, let's download that. I'm going to show you back here in Photoshop. If I start having my storyboard like this, so I'm going to have a shot of the landscape right here, then I'm going to have maybe we'll fade into this as they're speaking, then I'm going to have our new shot we just created. Okay, so I'm starting to build this up here. If I just go back to ChatGPT, I can see, so we have on a distant planet of Ethereum, so we have a shot of the planet and a young girl. It's objects around her room. I've changed that onto the top of a skyscraper. She always felt different. Okay, then overview is standing alone on a rooftop, things swirling around. So I'm going to have two more shots here. Let me have this girl, and I want to have a close-up of her eyes. So let's use that same prompt. This young girl, extreme close-up of her eyes, glowing, superpower. Okay, let's run that. And then I also want to have this young girl, wide shot, establishing, stood on top of a skyscraper on a futuristic planet. A skyscraper, at dusk, with objects floating around her and her arms out. Cyberpunk sci-fi at dusk. Okay, first image I wanted to have, yeah, exactly this. Let's have this one right here, download that one, and then let's see what happens when I want this final shot. And then I won't go through and do the whole film here because you'd be watching an hour and a half long tutorial, but I can show you how to start making this early part of the from kind of here maybe to here-ish with the voiceover and some sound and some of these shots and higher res quality, and then you just do exactly the same thing to finish off this whole video. So let's continue. Okay, so I've generated a lot of these images. Let's go through some of these. Okay, like this is the nicest one, but it doesn't look like. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay, I like this image the most, but it has to be a girl here. Okay, so what I've been able to do here is manipulate that image. I'll show you in the future lectures to change this into pink hair and then make sure she's wearing a jacket, something like this. This is that final shot that I want. So let's download that. Now the next phase onto this, which you don't have to, but it's preferable to do, is if you want to, depending if you need it, is to up-res the quality of these. So the image quality is pretty good, but not amazing. Now, you can do that inside here, and you can do it with some external tools. So let me just go through, and I'm just going to up-res all of these images that I want to use inside here first. So what I can do is I can go upscale, subtle, yes, that's the one I want, and I can go through and just find all the shots that I chose, those four or so shots, and just get those images better. So these are now the upscaled version. These 5 images here, let me show you. We have this one, and then this image, this image, this image, and this image to tell our story. So I'm going to download all of those and put them into my storyboard quickly. So however you want to display this, once again, I go back to here and I start reading the script to make sure it makes sense, because what it allows me to do, if I have these in somewhere like Photoshop, a storyboard, and you'd have lots more of these, is to make sure that this is telling a story. Establish here, girl sat there, something's glowing from her hands, her eyes go, these are floating. It tells a story. It may be that these aren't all of the shots. You may want to go from this to this, this, back to this or something, and then maybe an establishing shot of this and zoom in. But it lets you tell a story so you can start to do the next phase, which is to make video from this. Now you could up-res this. I just did it with Midjourney. You could use something like Topaz right here. I'll show you this later, but look at this software here. See how good that does here? And I can actually do one of our images right now. I can show you Topaz Gigapixel. Let's add one of our images that we just did right here. Let's do our establishing shot. Actually, I quite like to do those. So let's do that. Let's let it just upscale right here. And now if I drag these along, so you can see it looks quite pixelated there, and it just smooths and gives each line purpose. Yeah, you see it's doing that much more in there. So you could use something like that. There is a cost for this. This is a trial mode, what you'll see if you do a free trial, but I'll show you the paid for version later. Or if it's not needed, you could just be using, of course, what we did in Midjourney here. It's completely up to you and your project. So now we've got our images. You'd obviously have a lot more, and now we have upscaled them. Let's go on and start making these into video. For these, I use all kinds of tools, but I'm going to show you once again, the same as the last tutorial where we did this, Runway. I'm also going to use Pika. I'm going to use Hedra, and I'm going to use Hapier. So let's start with Runway. Let me grab our first shot that I want to start putting down on our timeline. That's our establishing shot. I'm going to, actually I'll put these side by side with another software and you can see how well they do. This is a drone shot. Camera moves in. That's all the direction I'm going to give it and see what it says. Let's do the same thing in Pika right here. Now Pika, actually I use that mainly for lip syncing. I can show you that later. Let's use Hapier right here. I'm going to do image to video. Let's choose it, and then I'm going to just give it exactly the same prompt that I gave here, so they've got the same chance. Let's put that in there and generate, and let's go back to Runway. Let's see what it's done here with our shot. Oh nice, straight through the middle into one of these. That's really nice. I really like that shot. Beautiful. Let's download. I want to use that shot for sure, but let's have a look, see what Hapier did. Okay, Hapier, what did you do here? Oh, nice. Almost a very similar thing, bit slower. Let's play it again. Nice. I'm happy with both of those generations. So what I'm going to do now is I will just go through and I will put in all our other shots that we generated across these two platforms. I probably may only just use this one, and then we're going to see all the shots at the end. So all of my images have now generated into video. I can show you, and I had to do a couple of times. So this is the shot we have of the girl sat here. Really nice. She looks up. We move in slightly. That's fine for this trailer. Really good. I like it. This one did not go so well. It started to make a candle. It's not a candle. Her hands were glowing, obviously. So I redid that one again. And let me show you that shot. So now we just move into her face slightly. Nice. And then this is just a shot I wanted of her face with her eyes glowing. That one's glowing pink. Great. And then I did two versions of this. I think I like this one better. We zoom out and we see her on top with all of the objects floating around her on top of the city on the skyscraper. And this version zoomed in to it, but I think I like the other one better. So I'm going to download those, and then we can start putting this together on a timeline, which is exciting. Now the next step you could be doing here is of course up-resing even further. I'll talk to you about that in later sections, but let's get on and show you how we start putting this together now. Use any software that you want. I'm using Premiere Pro right here, like I showed you in the last lecture. Use CapCut, I don't know, Filmora, any DaVinci Resolve. It really doesn't matter. There's nothing special that you need here for AI video. So let me just drop in. First, I'm going to put in our narrator voiceover that we did. Drag that on. Let me place that into here and have a little listen. Zoom that in.
On the distant planet of Erathon.
Nice. Let me just turn that up slightly.
Where every secret is buried deep.
Okay, let's begin putting in our shot, shall we? So the first one was this establishing shot that I want to put on. So let's drag and put that in. I'm going to then, I didn't up-res this, but we'll talk about that later. I'm going to do this with a bit of a fade over the top and then make that slightly more. So it looks something like this.
On the distant planet of Erathon, where every secret is buried deep.
Let's do that. Put the dissolve out again. I want to get my next shot, which was the girl sat on top of the skyscraper. Okay, let's play that.
On the distant planet of Erathon, where every secret is buried deep, one is about to surface.
Okay, let's change that. So I want that to fade out right there because I want her hands to start to glow right now. Let's do that. Put in our next shot.
Is about to surface. She always felt different until one
Great. Let me cut to her eyes.
moment changed everything. A power she never asked.
Okay, let's have a little watch what we have here without any sound yet. So we haven't really created an emotion yet, but we have our visuals. Let me play that through for you.
On the distant planet of Arathon, where every secret is buried deep, one is about to surface. She always felt different until one moment changed everything. A power she never asked for, and secrets her family kept hidden. Some powers lie dormant.
Okay, so this is obviously all in one piece. You'd probably want to cut this, like it may say this, like if we go back to our script, she always felt different in the aerial shot of that, fast-paced scenes. You'd have more shots in here, but we haven't done that for the sake of this tutorial. So I'd probably cut this, move this along, and there'd be soundtrack between this. But you can see how this is coming along really nicely. And what I want to do is go through to the next stage, which to add some sound to this, because that's how you really get emotion with a video. So let's go to some of those tools. Firstly, I'm going to go to Suno, and there's some other ones I'll show you later. You saw this in the last tutorial. I'm going to do a sci-fi soundtrack for a trailer, dark, mysterious, epic, intense. Instrumental only. Let's create that and see what Suno comes up with. And then we're also going to go back into 11 Labs and we're going to get some sound effects for some of these. So I want some sound effects of like futuristic city flying cars. Let's see if we can generate a sound effect for that. And let me go back to Suno and see what they've got for us. Oh, yeah, that's quite nice. Let's see what this one does. Well, I think I like that a bit more. I'm going to download that and use this one. Although I'm going to run it again because I just like to see the different versions that they come up with. Suno do amazing, amazing versions of songs. And these are all obviously copyright free for you. They're yours to use. Let's go back in while we wait for that to generate. And let's see what these futuristic sound effects are sounding like. Okay. Let me do this from a distance. Let's generate that. Back in the Suno, let me see what they had for us. Okay. Oh, this has a nice start too. What was this one again? Okay, I'm going to go with this. We're going to download that one and let's have a look at some of these sound effects again. I'm just going to get some of these have, well, I think I'm having too much concentration on the word futuristic, flying cars. Let me just do city noise. From a distance. Let's generate those. Let's go in and download this. Okay, I quite like this with a bit of animal. Yeah, okay, let's use that one. And then the other sound effect I want for this is hovering futuristic. I'm just going to say laser, okay, and see what comes up with this. For when she's floating objects in her hands and perhaps when the light appears from her hands also. Sometimes you have to put some pretty obscure instructions in here. Let's see what it comes up with. Ooh, these are nice. I like this first one and third one. Let's take both of those. Amazing. Let's go back to our project. If I grab our soundtrack and just put that underneath here, let's make sure that's not too loud. Let's play it.
On the distant planet of Arathon, where every secret is buried.
Really coming about there. And then let me get some of these city noises right here. This one with the birds that we had.
On the distant planet.
Let me make that quieter.
Of Arathon.
Okay, let's listen to this.
On the distant planet of Arathon, where every secret is buried deep. One.
Great. Let me put another effect just to fade out that sound. We had our sound effect of some hovering right here. Let me put those in. Let's have a listen again. And this one. All right, let me grab that one into like here.
Is about to surface. She always felt different until one moment changed everything.
Nice. All right, and then this is the other sound effect that we had that I just want to make that slightly quieter.
A power she never asked for, and secrets her family kept hidden. Some powers lie
All right, nice. So let's have a little listen to this now. We've started getting some emotion behind it.
on the distant planet of Arathon, where every secret is buried deep. One is about to surface. She always felt different, until one moment changed everything. A power she never asked for, and secrets her family kept hidden. Some powers lie dormant until the moment they awaken.
Okay, great. So you can see how we're doing that. We're putting it all together now, really building an emotion. We've got high res images. I could then go ahead and make that even better quality video. We got our sound effects that really add something to it doing there, as well as a soundtrack, narration. It's really coming together really, really nicely. I'm really happy with this. You would, of course, in your own project, go into this way more shots, but you're seeing every step here that I'm telling you about for the best workflow. I hope that was useful and entertaining. You can see every step now in a more advanced AI workflow, and you're going to know what it is that you want to use and start using, and the tools perhaps what you need for your own workflow. Now, I've shown you in brief these tools and we've gone over them. You've seen me do the workflow, but you don't yet know how to use these tools exactly, do you? And that's okay, because that's what every next step is. In the next lecture, I'm going to briefly go over what my workflow is going to be for this course that you can follow along side by side with. And then we'll have a little task for this. And then we get into the next section of the course and we're going to start actually learn how to use these tools, and you are going to start making your own AI video. I'm just going to show you briefly the workflow that I'm going to be following on for my own project throughout this course. You are going to follow along step by step. I'm going to cover everything and all tools in each step that I'll be using, or possibly or could be using, or you might like to use, and we'll go through them step by step. So I can bring up the slide here and you can see pretty much what I'm going to be using for every step of the way. That's from idea generation, script structure, audio, mood boards, storyboards, images, video, up-resing, edits, effects after I've edited it, of course. And you can go onto the site right here that you have access to, I've shown you before, /AI video workflow. And I'm going to be following this along. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the next sections of the course are going to follow along with this. The next step is idea generation. We go over these 5 tools. Then I'm going to make a script and structure. We use these tools. Then audio, these tools, mood board, storyboard with these tools, image generation, all these whopping 9 tools, video generation, all these, and then I'm going to up-res and I'm going to edit and then do some sound effects to do the final project for this. So we're going to come up with what the project is in the next stage. I encourage you to go onto this site and check these out, because I'm going to set you a task in the next lecture that's going to correspond and coincide with this, just to know what's coming up in the course and what you could be doing for your own workflow. So head on over to the next lecture and you are going to see the task. So your task for this section is a test and recap task. Unsurprisingly, I want you to develop your initial, very basic, we'll develop this more in the next section when we're using AI tools for this. I want you to plan out your workflow based on your end goal. So start thinking, and you probably already know this, am I going to be creating short films that are going to festival? Am I going to be creating adverts? Do I want to make social media content for YouTube or something? Start thinking about what your end goal is and backward engineer that to work out what your flow is going to look like. If I come onto site here, AI video workflow again, you can start working out, okay, I don't need to generate ideas, I know what they are, but I do need scripts. I'll probably be using ChatGPT or Gemini. Some audio here, I'll need a soundtrack and a voiceover. I'm not going to do a mood board. I'm just going to wing it and go along. I'm not even going to make a storyboard. I'm going to do image generation and videos. I don't need to up-res it because I am not going to put this to festival or anything. It can be for social media. I'm then going to edit it, and you can start to work out probably what your workflow is going to be like and the tools you're going to be using. And in the next stage, we're going on to this section right here. So if you decided, actually, I don't need idea generation, you can probably skip the next section. You don't have to and go over it and gain some knowledge about how to use some of these tools. But if you already know exactly what it is you want to make, you can probably skip forward and go straight to script or structure. But start working out what it is, your workflow you're going to need, so you can best utilize what's in this course.